Stop what you're doing. I need your full attention right now. I need you to put down your phone. I need you to close the other tabs, because what I am about to show you is not just another silver update. This is the confirmation. This is the proof. This is the moment where everything we have been warning about is no longer theory. It is fact. It is happening in real time. And it is happening in the one place that matters more than anywhere else on this planet, Shanghai. Silver just hit $112 an ounce in Shanghai. Let that number sink into your brain. $112. This is not a futures contract. This is not a paper promise. This is the price that real buyers are paying for real metal in the largest physical market on Earth. And that price has doubled. It has doubled since November. In less than 5 months, the price of silver in China has gone from around $56 to $112. That is a 100% gain. That is not a rally. That is not even a bull market. That is a physical panic. That is a scramble. That is people running for the exits of a burning building and fighting over the fire extinguishers. And while Shanghai is printing 112, do you know what the price is in New York? Do you know what the Western paper markets are telling you silver is worth? They are telling you it is worth $103. They are telling you it is worth $9 less than what people in China are actually paying. $9 per ounce. That is not a small discrepancy. That is not a rounding error. That is a canyon. That is a chasm between the paper fantasy and the physical reality. And that chasm is telling you everything you need to know about which price is real and which price is a lie. The Western price is the lie. The Shanghai price is the truth. And the truth is $112. I am Mr. Asian Guy. And today we are going to dissect the most important silver event of the decade. We are going to look at why Shanghai is breaking records. We are going to look at why Turkey has run completely dry. We are going to look at why Korea sold out in 60 minutes. We are going to look at why India is seeing demand that makes Diwali look like a slow Tuesday. And we are going to look at why the shortage is not contained, why it is spreading, why it is metastasizing across the globe like a financial virus that the central banks cannot stop. The physical silver market is breaking. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to wake up one morning and find that the metal you wanted to buy simply does not exist anymore, not at any price. Let me paint you a picture of what is happening on the ground in China right now, because the numbers on a screen do not capture the chaos. They do not capture the human element. They do not capture the desperation. In Shenzhen, one of China's largest manufacturing and trading hubs, people are lining up outside banks. They are lining up outside bullion dealers. They are not lining up for loans. They are not lining up for credit cards. They are lining up to buy silver, physical silver, bars and coins. And when they get to the front of the line, they are discovering something terrifying. The shelves are empty. The inventory is gone. The banks are struggling to keep up with the demand. This is not an exaggeration. This is not hyperbole. This is what is being reported on the ground by dealers, by factories, by the banks themselves. The demand has exceeded the supply. The hunger for physical metal has overwhelmed the system, and the system is cracking under the pressure. A factory manager in Shenzhen, a man who runs a silverware operation that has been in business for years, went on Chinese state television and said something remarkable. He said the price of a 1 kilogram silver bar has jumped 10,000 yuan in just 4 months. 10,000 yuan. That is the equivalent of more than $1,300 per kilo in price increase. The bar that cost 10,000 yuan 4 months ago now costs 20,000. It has doubled. And his workers? They have been working extended hours for months, not weeks, months. They cannot keep up. They cannot produce bars fast enough to meet the orders that are flooding in. And here is the detail that should make every investor sit up and pay attention. This factory used to focus on silver jewelry, rings, necklaces, bracelets, the decorative stuff, the fashion stuff. But they have shifted their entire production priority. They are no longer making jewelry. They are making investment bars. They are cranking out 100-gram bars, 200-gram bars, smaller denominations that individual investors can afford, because that is where the demand is. The Chinese public is not buying silver to look pretty. They are buying silver to survive. Do you understand what this means? When a manufacturing operation pivots its entire business model in the middle of a price surge, when they abandon their traditional product line to focus on investment-grade bullion, that is not a temporary spike. That is a structural shift. That is a society that has decided collectively that silver is more important than jewelry, that wealth preservation is more important than decoration, that real money is more important than fashion. This is the mentality that precedes a currency crisis. This is the mentality that precedes a loss of faith in the system. And it is spreading. But China is only the epicenter. The shock waves are radiating outward. And the first place they have hit with full force is Turkey. Let me tell you about Turkey. Let me tell you about what is happening in the refineries right now. Because this is the detail that should terrify you if you are sitting in the West thinking that the silver shortage is an Asian problem, thinking that it will not affect you, thinking that you have time. Refineries in Turkey are reporting zero stock. Not low stock, not limited availability. Zero. They have had nothing for 10 days. For 10 days, if you walked into a Turkish refinery looking to buy a 10-ounce bar or a 100-ounce bar, you would have been turned away, empty-handed. There is nothing to sell. The cupboard is bare. And yet the demand has not slowed. The buyers are still there. They are still calling. They are still wiring money. They are still desperate to acquire metal. And because the supply is zero and the demand is infinite, the premiums have exploded. Buyers in Turkey are now offering $9 per ounce over the spot price. $9. The same premium that we are seeing in China. The same desperation. The same hunger. This is not a coincidence. This is contagion. The shortage that started in Shanghai has jumped across continents. It has infected the Middle East. It is spreading through the global supply chain like a fire through dry brush. Firat Sakerci is a bullion dealer based in Dubai, a man who has been in this business for years, a man who has seen bull markets and bear markets, a man who has watched gold and silver go through every cycle imaginable. And do you know what he said? He said this is the wildest buying he has ever seen. Ever. In his entire career. He has never witnessed demand like this. He has never seen the desperation that is gripping the market right now. And because of that desperation, the banks have had to make a choice. They have had to prioritize. There's only so much physical silver in the world. There's only so much that can be shipped at any given time. And the banks have decided to shift their shipping priorities toward Turkey and the Middle East. They are sending the metal to the places that are screaming the loudest, the places that are paying the highest premiums, the places that are most desperate. And do you know what that means for everywhere else? It means fewer shipments. It means longer wait times. It means the shortage is not being solved. It is being redistributed. The metal that would have gone to India is now going to Turkey. The metal that would have gone to London is now going to Dubai. The metal that would have gone to New York is now going to Shanghai. The Western world is being drained, ounce by ounce, bar by bar, shipment by shipment. The physical metal is flowing east because the East is willing to pay more for it. And the West is standing there with its paper contracts and its futures markets and its spot prices, wondering why the metal is not arriving. This is the arbitrage trade in action. This is the fundamental law of markets. Metal flows to the highest bidder. And right now, the highest bidder is not in New York. The highest bidder is in Shanghai. The highest bidder is in Istanbul. The highest bidder is in Dubai. And they are sucking up every ounce they can find. Let me tell you about India, because India is the third leg of this tripod. And what is happening in India right now should eliminate any doubt that this is a global phenomenon. We all remember Diwali, the festival of lights, the biggest gold and silver buying season in the Indian calendar, the time when hundreds of millions of people buy precious metals as gifts, as investments, as symbols of prosperity. The demand during Diwali is legendary. It moves markets. It drains inventories. It is the single biggest consumption event in the precious metals world. And right now, in the middle of January, the demand in India is even hotter than it was during Diwali. Let me say that again. The demand right now is hotter than Diwali. This is not the festival season. This is not the traditional buying period. This is January, and yet the Indian public is grabbing silver like their lives depend on it. They are buying smaller bars. They are buying coins. They are emptying the inventory of MMTC PAMP, the country's largest refiner. Samit Guha is the boss of MMTC PAMP. He runs the biggest refining operation in India. And he said, flat out, that interest has not slowed. It has not cooled. It has not normalized. The hunger is still there. The buying is still happening. And the pressure on the supply chain is still building. This is 3 of the largest silver-consuming nations on Earth. China, Turkey, India, all experiencing the same phenomenon at the same time. All experiencing shortages. All experiencing premiums. All experiencing demand that exceeds supply. This is not a local event. This is not a regional quirk. This is a synchronized global panic for physical silver. And if you think Korea is immune, think again. The Korea Mint, the official minting operation of South Korea, recently held a sale. A silver sale. And do you know how long it took to sell out? 1 hour, 60 minutes. The entire inventory was gone before most people had finished their morning coffee. This is institutional level demand. This is collectors and investors and stackers and funds all piling into the same trade at the same time. And the supply simply cannot keep up. Now let me tell you why this is happening. Let me tell you about the spark that lit this fire. Because none of this is random. None of this is organic market movement. There's a cause. There's a catalyst. And it sits in the White House. Donald Trump returned to the Oval Office and immediately declared war on the Federal Reserve. He attacked the central bank publicly. He questioned their policies. He threatened their independence. And whether you love him or hate him, whether you agree with his politics or despise them, You cannot deny the effect. The moment he started attacking the Fed, the moment he started questioning the integrity of the dollar, the silver market ignited. Since early January, silver has jumped another 30%. 30% in weeks. This is on top of the 150% gain in 2025. Think about that trajectory. Think about that compounding. Silver has gone up 150% in a single year, and then added another 30% in the first weeks of the following year. This is parabolic. This is vertical. This is the chart of an asset that is repricing in real time as the world loses faith in the currency it is priced against. The Chinese started the buying. They were the first movers. They saw the Trump headlines. They saw the attacks on the Fed. They saw the political chaos in Washington. And they made a decision. They decided that the dollar was no longer a safe store of value. They decided that silver was the better bet, and they started buying with both hands. But they were not alone. The hunger spread. It jumped from China to India, from India to Turkey, from Turkey to the Middle East, from the Middle East to Korea. It spread like a contagion, each country watching the other, each population seeing the shortages in the neighboring markets and deciding that they better buy now before the metal runs out. This is herd behavior at a civilizational scale. This is not retail traders on Reddit. This is not a meme stock phenomenon. This is billions of people across Asia and the Middle East making the same calculation at the same time. The dollar is dying. Silver is the lifeboat. Get in while you can. And the Elon Musk factor only added fuel to the fire. In December, Musk posted on X about new Chinese export rules. He highlighted the possibility that China might restrict silver exports the same way they restricted antimony and rare earths. And the market panicked. The mere suggestion that China might turn off the tap sent buyers into a frenzy. They started hoarding. They started stockpiling. They started preparing for a world where Chinese silver might not be available at any price. Now here is the irony. Here's the twist that most people are missing. China has not actually restricted silver exports yet. In fact, the numbers tell the opposite story. China shipped around 5,100 tons of silver in 2025. That is the biggest export number in over 16 years. 16 years. China is actually exporting more silver than it has in almost 2 decades. But the market does not care about what has happened. The market cares about what might happen. The market is forward-looking, and it is looking at the pattern. It is looking at antimony. It is looking at rare earths. It is looking at all the other strategic materials that China has restricted. And it is concluding that silver could be next. It is front-running the potential ban. It is buying today to protect against the restriction that might come tomorrow. This is the definition of a fear trade. This is the definition of a physical scramble. This is not people buying silver because they think the industrial demand will be strong next quarter. This is people buying silver because they are terrified that they will not be able to buy it at all. And that fear is justified. Because when you look at the numbers, when you look at the inventory levels, when you look at the reports coming out of the refineries and the mints and the dealers, the conclusion is inescapable. The physical silver market is running on fumes. The stockpiles are being depleted. The new supply from mines cannot keep up with the demand from factories and investors combined. Something has to give. Either the price goes much higher to destroy demand, or the shortages become permanent and silver becomes unavailable. There's no third option. There's no scenario where the price stays stable and the supply magically appears. That is not how markets work. That is not how physics works. Let me tell you a story. A story that captures the insanity of this moment better than any chart or data point ever could. In Chengdu, a city in southwestern China, a woman bought a diamond ring in 2023. She paid 6,200 yuan for it. That is roughly $850. A nice ring, a beautiful ring, a diamond, the symbol of eternal love and lasting value. She also received a gift with that ring, a promotional item, a silver insulated cup. The kind of thing you use to keep your coffee hot, a freebie, a throwaway, something the jewelry store probably bought for a few dollars and used as a marketing gimmick. Fast forward to today. That woman decided to check the resale value of her purchases. She took the diamond ring to a dealer. The ring she paid 6,200 yuan for. It is now worth 700 yuan. 700. That is a drop of almost 90%. The diamond, the eternal symbol of value, has collapsed. But the silver cup, the freebie, the promotional item, that silver cup is now worth nearly 2,000 yuan. It has more than tripled in value. The gift is now worth almost 3 times as much as the ring. Do you understand the insanity of that? Do you understand what that tells you about the world we are living in? The diamond, mined and marketed and controlled by cartels, has collapsed. The silver, the honest money, the industrial metal has exploded. The throwaway is now the treasure. The treasure is now the trash. This is not just a story about one woman in Chengdu. This is the story of our entire financial system. This is the story of real value versus perceived value. This is the story of atoms versus marketing, and the atoms are winning. This brings me to the most important question. The question that everyone watching this video is asking themselves right now. What does this mean for me? What does this mean for the Western investor sitting at home, watching these headlines from Asia, wondering if the shortage will spread? Let me be blunt. The shortage is already spreading. The West is already feeling the effects. The reason why banks are diverting shipments to Turkey is because that metal was supposed to go somewhere else. The reason why the Shanghai premium is $9 over New York is because the arbitrage is draining metal out of the Western system. Every ounce that flows east is an ounce that does not arrive west. You are watching a giant vacuum cleaner. It is sitting in Shanghai, it is sitting in Mumbai, it is sitting in Istanbul, and it is sucking up every ounce of physical silver on the planet. The metal is flowing toward the highest bidder, and the highest bidder is not your local coin shop. The highest bidder is not the COMEX. The highest bidder is on the other side of the world, and they are willing to pay a premium that the Western market cannot match. This is why the paper price in New York is irrelevant. This is why the futures market is a fantasy. You can print all the paper contracts you want. You can manipulate the spot price all day long. But you cannot manufacture physical silver out of thin air. You cannot click a mouse and create an ounce of metal. And when the physical market diverges from the paper market, it is the physical market that wins. Every time. Without exception. The paper market is a prediction. The physical market is reality. And reality always wins. We talked about the short squeeze in October, the event that kicked off this entire cycle. When local supply problems in China spiraled out across the globe, that was the warning shot. That was the tremor before the earthquake. And now the earthquake is here. Every ounce of silver that is mined today is spoken for. The industrial users need it for solar panels. They need it for electric vehicles. They need it for electronics and medical equipment and water purification. The investors need it for wealth preservation. The governments need it for strategic reserves. Everyone is grabbing for the same shrinking pool of metal, and there is not enough to go around. The miners cannot dig fast enough. The refiners cannot process fast enough. The mints cannot stamp fast enough. The entire supply chain, from the hole in the ground to the bar in your hand, is operating at maximum capacity, and it is still falling behind. This is the scenario that silver bulls have been predicting for years. This is the scenario that the mainstream financial media dismissed as conspiracy theory. This is the scenario that the bank said was impossible, and it is playing out in real time, right in front of our eyes, on the streets of Shenzhen and the trading floors of Shanghai. The price of silver is not going up because of speculation. It is going up because there is not enough of it. It is that simple. It is that fundamental. Supply and demand, the most basic law of economics. And right now, demand is winning. Demand is crushing supply, and the price is the pressure valve that is releasing the tension. $112 in Shanghai. And climbing. Do you think that is the top? Do you think that is the ceiling? Do you think the market has found its equilibrium and will calmly settle at this level? Look at the trajectory. Look at the velocity. Silver doubled in 5 months. It added 30% in 3 weeks. The factories are working overtime and still falling behind. The refineries are empty. The mints are sold out. The premiums are exploding. Nothing about this chart says equilibrium. Everything about this chart says acceleration. We are in the vertical phase of a parabolic move. We are in the moment where the price goes from climbing to leaping, where the gains are measured not in percentages per year, but in percentages per week, where the old rules break down and the new rules are written in real time. If you own silver, you are watching your wealth compound in real time. If you do not own silver, you are watching your purchasing power erode in real time. There is no neutral position. There is no sideline. You are either in the trade or you are the trade. The Western investor has a window. It is closing. Every day that the Shanghai premium persists, every day that the arbitrage drains metal from the west to the east, that window gets smaller. The metal that is in Western vaults today will not be there tomorrow. It is being shipped. It is being redirected. It is flowing toward the higher price. If you want to buy silver at the Western paper price, you need to act before the paper price catches up to the physical price. Because it will. It always does. The paper market can lie for a while. It can create the illusion of stability. But eventually, the physical market asserts itself. Eventually, the buyers in New York will have to pay what the buyers in Shanghai are paying, and that price is $112 and rising. This is not financial advice. I am not telling you what to do with your money, but I am telling you what I see. I am telling you what the data shows. I am telling you what is happening on the ground in China and Turkey and India and Korea. And what I see is a world that is running out of silver, a world that is scrambling to acquire the metal before it disappears. A world that has lost faith in paper currencies and is returning to the oldest form of money known to man. Silver has been money for 5,000 years. It has survived the rise and fall of empires. It has survived world wars and depressions and hyperinflations. It is still here. It is still valuable. It is still being fought over on the streets of Shenzhen. The paper dollar has been money for 50 years. 50 years since Nixon closed the gold window. 50 years of debt and deficits and money printing. And now, as we watch the Shanghai price diverge from the New York price, we are watching the end of that 50-year experiment. We are watching the market choose sides. We are watching the market vote with its feet and its wallets and its shipping containers. The market is voting for silver. The market is voting for gold. The market is voting for anything that cannot be printed by a central bank. I am Mr. Asian Guy, and I'm telling you that the physical market is the real market. The price in Shanghai is the real price. And the West is about to learn that lesson the hard way. The shelves are empty in Shenzhen. The refineries are dry in Turkey. The mints are sold out in Korea. The demand is exploding in India, and the metal is flowing east, $112. And every ounce that leaves the West is an ounce that is not coming back. Get your metal while you can. The window is closing. The price is rising. And the world is waking up to the fact that silver is the most undervalued, most essential, most critical asset on the planet. This is not a drill. This is not a test. This is the great silver scramble of 2026. And if you are watching this video, you still have time. Barely. But you still have time. Do not waste it. This is Mr. Asian Guy. The East is buying. The West is watching. And the price is telling you everything you need to know. $112. Shanghai sets the floor. And the floor is rising. Stack hard. Stay safe. And I will see you in the next one.